Once upon a time, in the old days, there stood an old mill at the edge of the forest by the river. The miller lived there with his wife and their only daughter, as beautiful as a blooming rose. All would have been well, if not for the water sprite lurking beneath the weir. He had power over the mill and the river, and with his evil habit, he would weave little cups out of human souls, which he kept at the bottom of his deep pool. One evening, when the miller's daughter went to fetch water, the water sprite leapt onto the bank, seized her in his claws, and dragged her down into his underwater palace. There he kept her, wishing to make her his wife, promising her gold jewelry and silks. The girl wept, longing for her home, her father, and her mother, but the water sprite would not let her go. The miller and his wife despaired. They called the neighbors for help, but who would dare face the wicked water sprite? No one. Until one day a young lad came to the land, an orphan, strong, brave, and pure of heart. When he heard of the miller's misfortune, he offered to rescue the daughter. At night he crept to the river. His heart pounded, but he did not falter. In his pocket he carried a small cross, some holy chalk, and a prayer given to him by an old herbal woman. As soon as he stepped onto the dam, the water began to churn, and from the depths rose the water sprite, wet, green, and terrible. "What do you want here, mortal?" he hissed. "I have come for the miller's daughter," the lad cried, clutching the cross firmly. The water sprite laughed, but when the lad raised the cross and drew a sign in the dust, the sprite wailed, lost his power, and was forced back into the depths. The brave youth did not hesitate. He leapt into the water and entered the underwater palace. There he found the weeping girl, seized her hand, and together they fled toward the surface. The sprite pursued them. The waters raged and the waves swelled, but the power of the cross and the purity of the lad's heart protected them. When they reached the shore, the river grew calm, and the water sprite was never seen again. The miller and his wife fell at the youth's feet and begged him to marry their daughter. And so it was. There was a wedding, joy and celebration. The mill sang again, and the brave lad became the miller's successor. And the water sprite, they say he still sits sadly at the bottom of the river, staring into the empty little cup where once he kept the soul of the miller's daughter. And if the mill still stands, then to this day the waters murmur of the bravery of the lad who feared no evil and saved love. And the bell rang, and the fairy tale was over.